EA, this will probably be really quickly since I don't think any of us really care about what EA has on offer. Battlefront 3 will be released in 2015, and I've never played a Battlefront game, so I don't know. People apparently are really excited by it.
Yeah, I really like the Battlefront series.
What is it like? Is it just like Battlefield but with Star Wars, or?
No, it's I mean, I guess it kind of is, but it's mostly third-person shooting, and
oh, that reminds me. Apparently, on consoles, it automatically started in a third-person mode, but on PC, it automatically started in a first-person mode, which I thought was interesting.
Oh, surprising. I actually played it. I guess no, I don't understand. Maybe I guess with console, it's like your aim's gone to shit, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
Well, you can swap between, even
yeah,
on
I know you can swap, but I always preferred first-person mode anyway. But it also had space battles, which was cool. I guess in a way it kind of is a lot like Battlefield, but it's a lot less serious and gritty and boring, and it's.
I guess that's pretty cool. Then I can
also,
get down with that.
Single player against like bots, and also it had conquest mode in Battlefront 2, which was where you sort of like played a strategic game against the AI and took control of certain planets.
Is conquest in Battlefront basically the same as conquest in Battlefield, or?
Is Battlefield just like a single map where that's conquest though?
I think so. Like
yeah, with Battlefront, it's like an entire galaxy, and you sort of fight on all the different maps for control of territory and stuff like that, and you have to defend some and attack some.
Oh, see, on Battlefield, it's just a massive map, and then you have like certain flag locations in buildings where you have to protect them.
Mm-hmm. See, I kind of see Battlefront as like a more fun version of Battlefield. That's
fine. That sounds all right.
But I've only seen like artwork and stuff that they've been working on, which does look quite impressive. But
I imagine it's coming out in pretty late 2015, since there hasn't been that much gameplay shown off.
I would suspect so. Also, I'm slightly.
What do you want to bet it's going to get delayed until 2016?
Well, not that.
Actually, no, it's EA, so never mind.
Well, it's an online. It's going to have quite a big multiplayer focus, and it's being released presumably on Origin. So, yeah.
Origins, yes.
Oh my god, have you guys seen the Origin commercial where? Oh,
yes. Yeah.
Making PC gaming awesome. That's their tagline. Yeah. No, you're not.
It sucked before Origin came along. Christ.
Yeah.
So Dragon Age gameplay was shown, but we basically already talked about Dragon Age pretty in depth. So
yep. So
Mass Effect 3. Oh, sorry, Mass Effect. The new Mass Effect 4 concept. Although they're really uppity about it being called Mass Effect 4, apparently it's insulting or something. So the new Mass Effect game, the pieces of concept art were shown from Bioware Montreal, aka fake Bioware, so no one expects much.
Oh, are we supposed to call it fake Mass Effect?
Yeah, sure. Let's call it fake Mass Effect.
Okay.
So the new fake Mass Effect
is
showing concept art.
Like we did with the Batman, the fake Batman game that was made by that company that's not
Warner Brothers Montreal, I believe.
Damn it, Montreal!
No, actually, I think that's actually
the crappy games.
Warner Bros. Montreal.
But I you know what? I've only played Mass Effect 1. I want to play Mass Effect 2 and 3.
Yep.
And I can understand because the game is going to be a totally different storyline, I think, than the original Mass Effect. So I can understand not wanting to call it Mass Effect 4 because when you not call it Mass Effect 4, it's like
you're expecting a continuation.
Yeah.
Right. And so I could see you saying no, it's different. So I
wonder if they're going to reboot it because after the ending of Mass Effect 3 where, potentially 3 different massive things happened, they're just like, fuck that shit. Let's just start it again. Let's try. Let's just hope we do it better
like
on the second time.
Wipe and they just start again.
The Mass Effect relay is overloaded and everything was sent back to the previous restore date.
I'm sure they can either put it like in the past or I don't think it'll probably be a reboot. Maybe they'll do like the alternate timeline thing where which kind of sort of is a reboot. But I guess they could say, okay, well, while Shepard was doing this thing, you were doing this over here or something like that. But obviously I don't not enough information to speculate too much on.
I only played
it's just concept art. I only played and finished the second one. I have the third one on Wii U though, so I should get around to that.
It's quite a rich universe, so I imagine that they could just like pick up a different story quite easily.
Right. Yeah. Plenty of interesting things going on.
Yeah. It's like a whole galaxy.
Could have a Krogan as the player character. That'd never happen.
Shit at the time. Yeah. It seems kind of far fetched, if anything. Him and like 4 other guys.
So a new IP is in the works at Bioware Edmonton, which is the real Bioware. So that's a thing, but we don't really know if it is a thing.
Making something.
Real Bioware is making something.
Is that all that we know?
Yes, they are making something. A game development studio is currently in the process of development of games.
Let's speculate for 2 hours about what that IP could be.
Well, I'm thinking maybe.
I want to see that trailer.
I think maybe they're trying to do a spiritual successor to Stripperella.
Oh, that sounds viable.
Yeah.
I think I heard a reliable source say that.
Some people are saying like this whole new IP thing is just a lie, and it's actually a sequel to Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. BioWare made that Sonic RPG. They're like, well, let's make another one.
It's actually Dance Central DLC.
There's nothing really to say about that. Sims 4 was given a release date, September 2nd for North America, September 4th for Europe and Australia, and September 5th for the UK. That's
fair. I mean, we did have the colonies and everything, so it makes sense that we should be given it last.
I agree 100% there.
Yeah.
This is your payback.
Yeah.
Hundreds of years later, you get Sims 4 a little bit later than everybody else. 2 days. Now we're even.
Yeah. 24 full hours later.
Well, I like how it's sort of like, just to lighten the load on Origin, once we have the entire North America, Europe, and Australia on, we'll just stagger it for the UK, because obviously that's a big influx in comparison.
Well, it's September 2nd for North America, and then September 4th for Australia. So they're leaving 2 days for them to get used to North America.
Of Europe. The channel isn't even that big, They could probably get it across here sooner.
Yeah, it's dumb.
I have to say, shamefully or otherwise, I'm pretty psyched.
I'm looking forward to it as well. It does seem like they removed a lot of features from The Sims 3, but they also added a few. Yeah, they're gonna add it as an expansion pack.
That's depressing.
But they also added a few new features that kind of interest me, like the fact that Sims will having a conversation or feeling upset will impact Sims around them. So if one Sim is really upset, it'll sort of ruin the mood of Sims around them. Or if one Sim is really happy, it'll make the other Sims around them really happy. Or if
mom isn't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Exactly. And apparently there's going to be weirder stories. And I heard someone say that apparently when they were doing a demo on the floor, what happened was this one Sim, he caught fire and was burning to death, and another Sim found this hilarious, so much so that he laughed himself to death, and then someone else found the fact that he died laughing hilarious, and then he laughed to death, and it was just
it's like the
fucking
world's
Christ.
Joke sketch by Monty Python.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also preemptively disappointed because I know they're going to strip a bunch of functionality and then sell it in 20 different DLCs that they'll price at $30. And
no, the DLC is $20, or at least the stuff packs are.
It depends. Some of them are 20, some of them are 40. So I kind of split the difference.
Kind of a joke anyway, whichever way you look at it.
Right, and they'll never. And then when they do have a huge sale, it's huge sale, 20% off, and it's still one DLC is $15 or $20.
And even when they do have the massive sales, it's still $500 or $250 to pick it all up, and it's are you fucking kidding me? It's it's $2 for the main game, but then it's $250 extra for the actual content.
Right. Yeah, it's disappointing because they're gonna do because it's successful. There's people out there who do nothing but don't play anything but The Sims, and they buy every single expansion at full price. So they have no reason to want to.
I watch a reviewer who does nothing but that. Well, he plays other games, but he does play The Sims, and he buys every single expansion. It's just ridiculous.
And there's a lot of people who do, but oh well.
So Criterion. You want to say something?
No, I was going to say they need like comparatively so few people to actually do that anyway that they can justify it.
Right.
Anyway, Criterion.
Criterion is working on a new IP that has cars, boats, jet skis, planes, motorbikes, and plenty of terrain. I'm going to be honest, I'm a bit disappointed that we're not getting a new Burnout game, since my favorite racing game of the PS3 generation, well, my favorite racing game was Driver San Francisco, but aside from that, it was Burnout Paradise, and I'm a bit disappointed that we're not going to have one of those anymore for the PS4 generation, since Burnout Paradise was fucking amazing. Oh well.
I played a little bit of the Burnout games, but I'm not. If I'm going to play racing game, it would be more like those where you're just ramming into people.
Yeah, Burnout 3 Takedown was great about that. Just destroy everything that's not a bus.
I'm kind of holding out for online multiplayer with next car game.
Oh yeah, that looks interesting.
That's kind of what I'm hedging all of my racing game bets on now. But I'm not picking anything up. But so this new IP, presumably not a racing game, is it just a sandbox game like Saints Row, GTA, or is it?
I'm not sure.
Racing.
I think it's. I'm fairly certain it's like about racing, because Criterion does what Criterion knows. I don't think they've made any non-racing game.
Maybe they'll do like triathlon races.
Actually, did they do? Hold on.
That would be pretty cool, actually. So you have to go by sea and then land and then air.
Isn't that what Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed is kind of like?
I've never played it, so I couldn't tell you. But if so, I'm pretty sure I'm like retroactively owed royalties by Nintendo. So
okay, so they made Black, a horrible first-person shooter. Oh no, it's apparently not that horrible, but it looks horrible.
I recall that being announced.
It came out in 2006.
I don't remember. Yeah, like I don't remember people going crazy for that game.
Yeah. Oh well.
I'm not really interested, especially unless it's a company that I'm really, really interested in. I don't really care too much when they say we have a new IP. It's like, well, I mean, it's cool that you're working on that, but
the only company that would get me excited for saying that is either Nintendo or Valve.
Yeah,
Valve or Blizzard probably for me. Blizzard still makes good stuff. They do like the Diablo update was really nice. New IP from them would be interesting, but otherwise, yeah, most of them just like, oh, that's cool. Let me know when there's more.
Just cock teasing.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a new IP. That's all. See you later.
Yeah.
So EA Sports PGA Tour was announced. It uses the Frostbite 3 engine and has golf courses based on Battlefield maps. There is one map where a ship will crash into the golf course, and you'll have to aim your shot over the ship that's crashed into it. So you know, like those Levolutions that Battlefield sells itself on? Those will be in a golf game.
Wow. I can't imagine that would have any other effect than to make people wish they were playing something other than a golfing game.
It's just weird.
It's just like, well, yeah, other games are far more interesting than this. That looks like a really cool interactive event. I guess I'll just play golf around it.
I can't imagine there's that much overlap that it would be worth it. Like, I can't imagine the people who want to golf sim will be very pleased by the fact that there's a ship crashing into their golf course, and I don't imagine people who are impressed by a ship crashing into their golf course will be actually playing a golf game.
I kind of appreciate though that they are trying something different with it, because like EA Sports is just like
here's another one.
Yeah, it just spits them out on, you know, like nobody's business, and it's pretty much identical year after year. And like a golfing game, like I'm pretty sure that there wouldn't have been that much evolution between the years. You know, certainly incremental at best. So for them to actually try something like this and have like a more arcadey golf experience isn't technically a terrible idea, because like stuff like Wii, well, basically golfing on the Wii wasn't entirely unsuccessful, and it was more of a the novelty than anything else.
Yeah.
So there may be a place for this, and much as it's probably the result of some god awful board meeting.
I wonder if we'll see
chaps chugging Mountain Dew, finger snapping all over the place.
I wonder if we'll see more of a crossover now that we've done this, though, because I wonder if you'll see Faith.
Battlefield.
Yeah.
Like a B2B transition.
Yeah. So you're thinking, Raven, that there might just be like random golfers and stuff, and
like have Faith from Mirror's Edge playing golf or stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's like Disney Infinity, but with EA IPs.
I was thinking more like Super Smash Bros, but instead of fighting, it's golf.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that could be a thing.
So
I guess, why not at that point?
Madden 15 and FIFA 15 were shown.
Were they?
Yep. And they looked like the previous one, but with a new roster.
Yes. Slightly better.
Good, dealt with. Dawnggate.
Yeah, Dawnggate is a MOBA that EA is making. By Waystone Games, who I've never heard of. I looked up a bit of it, and it looks... Well, I can't tell the difference between any MOBA, so it looks like League of Legends to me. And so I lost all interest.
It's a Dota clone. Damn it.
But yeah, I'm not into MOBAs or FIFA or Madden, so whatever.
No, me neither. But I'm assuming that this is just EA cashing in on stuff. Kind of reminds me of... I was going to say it reminds me of Force to a degree, but not so much now.
VT, you got anything to add, or are we good to go to the next topic?
Yeah, I kind of skimmed over this. Yeah.
Okay, so Mirror's Edge 2 gameplay was shown. Levels now offer more ways to get through. CQC has been made quicker, and will actually have a story this time.
Oh, that's cold.
The story in Mirror's Edge 1 was pretty rubbish. Although Rihanna Pratchett says apparently, the majority of her story was thrown out the window, and that Faith was supposed to have lines where she discussed stuff in the levels, but they removed that and they didn't tell her, and so her story was just sort of weird.
Maybe that was because they couldn't really convey the panting from having to do all the free running. So it's I'll tell you what else really sucks about this postmodern autocratic society is although to be fair, a lot of modern military shooters and stuff have a lot of panting over that anyway, so there's probably people you could hire for that. But I know I think the levels and the environments from stuff that I've seen were just reused from these won't be in the actual game. They're just testing the
testing the mechanics. It looked one of the things that actually got me really excited was the fact that climbing up pipes looks way fucking faster, because in Mirror's Edge 1 it took 20 years to climb up a pipe, but now it takes only 5 years.
Yeah, well, they apparently they used actual parkour people. I mean, I'm fairly certain, considering how similar most of the animations are, that they used real parkour people for research in the
first one,
in the first one. But they also made note of how they'd used a lot of they'd done their best to try and mimic their sort of actions and their ways of navigating the environment. But to be honest, I can't see a lot that's different about this game, but except for the fact that it will probably have a story. But yeah, if the levels have a new way to get through, then I guess it's just another platform.
It seems like the biggest difference in terms of level design. It seems there's going to be there's alternate pathways, sort of like Deus Ex Human Revolution. Deus Ex Human Revolution had the lethal way and the stealthy way. This has the quick and difficult way, and has the slow and steady wins the race way.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool, I guess. But that's basically the biggest difference between the two.
It's kind of what Mirror's Edge 1 should have had anyway.
It really should have. It was pretty linear.
You weren't supposed to be fighting people anyway, and the combat wasn't exactly terrific, so...
I don't think I've seen Faith hold a gun in Mirror's Edge 2 so far, so hopefully they got rid of that, because that was stupid.
The combat does seem a lot like she takes out a lot of guys in one hit in the gameplay trailers that I've seen, so I'm thinking that it's a case of if you're good at free running, then you can take these guys down pretty quickly. there'll probably be enemies that you just straight up have to avoid.
It also looks like that the enemies are going to be more other runners, and the other runners can be actually taken down rather than just be these things you have to run away from.
Mm.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I thought the first game was all right, but it felt too often like a lot of times part of the game was, to me, enjoyment was like getting a flow going and just kind of flowing through the levels very quickly. But then there was a lot of times it was like, oh wait, I don't know where I'm supposed to go here, or there's guys with guns that I have to deal with, or whatever. So it felt like a lot of times the flow was broken.
The biggest flow destroyer were the pipes, in my opinion, because you'd be running across buildings and then jumping up and down all over the place. Then you get to a pipe and it's like 7 months later. And you're still climbing up it.
Pipes were just the first thing to change. Just monologuing. Maybe that's when they meant to have the dialogue, and that's why the pipes were so slow.
I believe it.
But I found the controls quite janky in Mirror's Edge, but I'm bad at platforming generally, so like a first-person platformer for me is just nightmarish.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty bad on console, but when I played with a keyboard and mouse, I found it to be much better, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's people who are better than me that can get a good flow going in that game, so hopefully as long as it handles reasonably well and the animations do look pretty, they seem to have fewer seams than they did in the first Mirror's Edge, so
yeah,
hopefully that
I'm looking forward to
easier routes as well, like more obvious routes to players that they're slightly longer, but if that's the trade-off for like having a more fluent experience, then I'd say that's fair.
I'm looking forward to hacking the game and looking at the animations in third person, because in the original game, when you went into third person, the animations were dreadful because they were never intended to be seen that way.
Yeah. Well, I imagine if you did that in like most shooters, you'd have like a gun sticking out your face. So yeah.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't even have a face.
Where your face should be.
Yeah. So Battlefield Hardline was shown off. A beta is launched, and the game will be out in October. So Battlefield Hardline looks pretty interesting. It's going to be 1080p, 60 FPS on PS4, and I believe Xbox One as well. So that's pretty cool. It looks to be just a police sort of game, but not really. It's pretty over the top sort of thing. And yeah, it looks alright.
Oh yeah, Hardline was an interesting take. So they actually didn't go for the modern military shooter in the sense.
Yeah, I suppose we should mention who's developing. It's the Dead Space people, I think.
Visceral, yeah, that's right. Yeah, there was a bit in it where it was like, Visceral did such a good job of storytelling with the Dead Space games, and I sort of cringed internally. Then carried on. And it looks like they are actually focusing more on the single-player campaign than they probably have done in previous titles, though. So that's encouraging, at least. Because they even have like decisions, or something along those lines. Because supposedly you're a loose cannon cop who doesn't play it by the rules. But you could go either side of the line and become a criminal or just.
I'm looking at Visceral's games that they've made, and I had no idea they made Dante's Inferno and Army of Two: The Devil's Cartel.
I think I played Dante's Inferno.
What?
I wanted to play that Dante's Inferno, but I never got around to it. Wasn't that other game that you just mentioned was pretty bad?
Army of Two: The Devil's Cartel.
Wasn't that bad? Or am I thinking of something else?
Yeah, The Devil's Cartel was pretty awful.
So Dead Space 1 is pretty much the best game that Visceral have made. And...
no, that's incorrect. The best game that they've made is the Simpsons game.
Oh, which Simpsons game?
The Simpsons game. That's what it's called. The Simpsons game.
There's a The Simpsons game?
Yes.
The arcade?
No, for PS3 and 360.
Oh.
And PlayStation Portable and Wii and Nintendo DS. And PS2.
Maybe I vaguely recall.
But yeah, it was actually... The Simpsons game is actually really good.
Huh. Yeah.
I like it.
Who'd have thought that when they went onto a horror franchise, they would falter in their storytelling after the second and third entries?
It's kind of funny, though, because it's like a bunch of licensed games, then it's the Simpsons games, then it's Dead Space.
Yeah.
Quite the
jump. strange IP to move on to, but yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Dead Space 2 was better than Dead Space 1.
Oh, well, okay. Maybe I'll look forward to playing that then. I played 1 and 3. 2, I haven't played Dead Space 2 yet.
2 was great. Like the being able to like cut enemies. My favorite thing in that game was like cutting an enemy's limb off and then using your telekinesis or whatever it was to grab the hook arm and then throwing it back at them before they died.
Yeah, love digging around with stuff like that.
Was that not in the first one?
I don't think you could actually do that in the first one.
Well, you could pick up enemies' items and throw them at them. Well, you could pick up stuff and throw it at enemies because that's how you did a lot of the harder difficulties. In Dead Space 2, the way you did the harder difficulties was you bought the DLC and you became overpowered.
I'm pretty sure there was DLC for the... Oh, no, wait, no, it was just New Game Plus.
So...
Okay.
I think that's the end of EA's conference.
Yeah, we kind of breezed through that. It's like, it's the same.
We spent like 2 hours discussing Microsoft.
Oh, this is the same.